Okay, check 1 2, check 1 2. I cannot see the mic all the way over here. Do you actually work this time or do you not actually work? Let's see. Check 1 2. Okay. Looks like the mic works and looks like the noise suppression is off. Not that we have any ASMR today. Not that we have any ASMR today unless you want to like listen to paper ASMR, which I don't think is working. Let me see. Okay, for some reason, whenever the mic goes on, everything else seems to default back to what it used to do. I'm not exactly sure why. Also, is Stream Elements now cooperating again today? I guess it's not cooperating again today. Why, Stream Elements? Why? Let me double check this. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay. Anyway, hey everyone, welcome to the food truck. My name is Ruka, and also welcome Fangy, welcome Rexverse, welcome Workshop. I can barely see you all through through the mic boom. The mic boom is in the way as usual whenever I do these hand cam streams. But yeah, welcome, welcome. I'm not sure. Excuse me. I really don't have a plan for today. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I was like trying to bounce around different ideas and what I wanted to talk about today. But honestly, there is not really much that I can talk about because I don't really know what to talk about. Any Japan videos that I have in mind is probably going to be better off as a video rather than as a stream itself. Or I could still probably do a stream itself and then do the actual video. But then if I do a stream and then do a video, it's going to be like, I don't know. Stream is easier, but a very short video about like favorite places, where to go, that kind of stuff might be a little bit more digestible, I guess, for most people. So I do want to do that at some point. I just gotta find time to do it. I have like a lot of videos that I want to do. I have like a bunch of like videos ready to be cut up, edited, and all that stuff. I'm kind of like, I'm not feeling it. I haven't been feeling it. I haven't been feeling up to video making the past couple of days. I have been able to make thumbnails at least and some other things, but not really videos. The Toho made shirt, the Sakuya, Neko Sakuya. I think it was a Neko Sakuya, or was it Inu Sakuya? I think it was Inu Sakuya. But yeah, that was a present that was given to me very, very long time ago. And I have that. I'm not going to take it out, but it's in the closet right now. I don't think I've ever actually worn it once. I may have worn that t-shirt once to just see if it fits. And as far as I know, it fits and it still does fit. So thankfully it does, because it's a pretty old t-shirt and things happen as time goes by. Things happen as time goes by, but yeah. But as far as today is concerned, I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at the calendar, and I realize there's like less than about 3 months before my trip, and I'm kind of getting a little antsy for that trip. I mean, technically, I have everything already set up. I got all the reservations set up, all the plane tickets I need, domestic wise, already set up. And I think I have an itinerary that more or less is set in place. So I know where to go each day. I know what times I have to do. As far as normally when I make an itinerary, I don't really care about like if you're in a city and you're going from one site to another, we have to be there at this time with this time. In most cases, I don't really care about those timings, but when you have to coordinate a little bit with, let's say, Shinkansen trains in particular, especially going from one city to another, you do kind of have to at least get an idea on when the trains are going to leave. And thankfully for Japan, they do have an app. Or if you don't, if there's no app, you can always kind of mess around with Google Maps a little bit and use the public transportation option. I guess they have a public transportation option. It's not necessarily a train option, but it'll do like trains and buses and all that stuff. You can use that and then make a rough estimate on when you need to leave from, let's say, Tokyo going to, oh, I don't know, Kyoto. Like, Kyoto, from Tokyo to Kyoto is not very far. It's like, I think, around 90 minutes to 2 hours on the Shinkansen, which is actually pretty darn fast. Considering how far those two are, if you do like take a bus or drive over there, and both of those have their own merits and stuff like that. But it's like, if you're going farther than that, let's say you're going from all the way from Tokyo to Fukuoka, which is a ridiculously long trip. I have done that before. I have done that before on my previous trip. I mean, I didn't think about taking the plane at that time, and I just kind of wanted to chill, on the train. It's nice chilling on the Shinkansen, not gonna lie. But it is also a very, very long day to be on the train. I think it's like around 7 to 8 hours. If you don't plan to fly domestically for whatever reason and you just plan to use trains everywhere, which is totally possible, it eats up a lot of time depending on where you're going. But like, because of that, you do lose a lot of time. Like, yeah, 7 to 8 hours from Tokyo to Fukuoka. That's, most people probably would not even do that kind of trip, unless it was like their cheapest option. But the thing is, if you're just paying out of pocket, Tokyo to Fukuoka, not the cheapest option. I think it's like almost, I want to say after conversion, a little bit, almost $250 one way. Think about that, one way. And if you do a plane trip instead, it's going to be about half that much, if not less than half that much. So yeah, there's savings, there's time savings, but it's also an extra cost if you have like let's say the JR train pass. So you have to like decide which one, what you want to do and stuff like that. Hey Mars, welcome. That's a thick stack of tickets. Yeah, actually, I kind of wanted to go over this. I just kind of want to reminisce a little bit. But this is my stack of tickets from my first trip to Japan. The first trip, by the way, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, the first one. So what you could do, by the way, whether or not you have the train pass when you go to Japan. So let me just preface this before we start with anything. Reminder, if you are going to Japan, I think after October of this year, train pass prices will go up, like significantly, almost double, okay? So train passes, for the most part, are probably not going to be, the JR Rail Pass is probably not going to be that useful anymore. I wish I could show you my Rail Pass, but my Rail Pass has my name on it, and also has like other passport information on it, which they want all that stuff in there, so I cannot show that to you. And I didn't think ahead of time to like censor that stuff, so we are not doing it on this stream at the very least. Anyway, and also the train pass is a lot different now than what it used to be. I think before it's like a booklet type of thing, and when you do the train pass now, it's going to be kind of closer to this stuff, like an actual ticket. But if you're going to be using this ticket everywhere, there's going to be a lot of wear and tear, so probably keep that in a safe place and stuff. But anyway, going back, regardless of whether or not have a train pass for your trip going to Japan, Uh, it is kind of recommended to like have a route already in mind of where you want to go and when you want to go. And you know, if you have already have like reservations and stuff to certain cities, it's even better to just as maybe not the day you get there because you'll probably be pretty tired, especially if you're coming from overseas. If you're like just within Asia, Southeast Asia, it's probably not going to be that terrible to like go to, let's say, a ticket booth right after your flight and order all the tickets you want, get seat reservations for the trains ahead of time. You can do that, by the way. You can do that. I think they let you have do reservations on the Shinkansen up to like 1 month before you plan to ride, and I think you can do some of that online also, but I'm not entirely sure what the details on that is. I know you can do it online if you buy rail passes and stuff online, but I haven't actually done that before, and I don't think I'm doing it this time around, so I'll still be doing mine the old school way. I'll have like a rail pass and a list of places I want to go to on certain days and travel times on like times I want to leave on those days, because I usually try to figure out how long it takes to get from one place to another and make sure we have just enough time or plenty of time to prepare for that train trip, as well as, you know, we don't get too late in the next place, right? You don't want to be like waking up in the morning and you have a, let's say, a train that you have to catch at 8 in the morning. Some people can wake up that early, and that's perfectly fine if that's what you have to do. But if you're traveling with someone else, 8 o'clock in the morning, if one of you is a heavy sleeper, it might not be that great. So you kind of have to like, okay, we can't leave at 8 o'clock in the morning to get to the Shinkansen. We have to like do 10, 11, maybe even 12, because they need a lot of time to prepare, and also maybe the place that you're staying at serves breakfast. Sometimes that does happen. So you want to catch breakfast, right? You want to catch breakfast in the place that you're at. So you schedule your train ticket for a little bit later time. Now, like, what if you can't make that time? I guess you can go ahead and exchange it in the Shinkansen or like the train tickets or the ticket counter. You can do that. You can do that. Same thing if you whether or not you have a rail pass and stuff. But all that to say that you can reserve tickets ahead of time, and that's basically what I've been doing every single time I do it. So as far as my first trip goes, I don't think this is in order, so I'm gonna try to like put this in order as best as I can, and this is gonna be a lot more space than what I have here. I don't know if you can read all of that. It's a little bit hard to read, but let me see. Omiya, Morioka, that's one place I went to, and then we have, I don't think I have a, oh yeah, we have Sendai to Omiya, wherever that was, whenever that happened. Tokyo to Sendai. Did I not have a Tokyo to Sendai? Somehow I got to Sendai and I don't remember how, which is which is a weird thing, because you would think I have a ticket for that, but apparently it's missing. Apparently it's missing. Maybe, I wonder if it's because I got a different ticket, and it's like, what do you call this? The ticket gate took it. Because there's two ways you can get the tickets. They are either in these like sturdy Shinkansen tickets, or it's going to be a different one. But this is all sorted out between like whatever years I had, so I'm gonna have to double check. Is the name under the date named the train or something? Yeah. So let me sort this out really quick, and I will get to that. Tokyo, Kyoto, Tokyo. Why do I have like... Oh, I think I remember what happened here. I remember what happened to that one. That one was like, I had to change my train a few times. and that's kind of what happened. Embarrassing, but it does happen, and that was my first time doing stuff, so also embarrassing. Anyway, but yeah, let's just take this one as an example. So Hayabusa. Did I ride the Hayabusa? I guess I did ride the Hayabusa. I know there's like a certain train with the rail pass that you can't exactly ride with. Like there's I know there's like one train in particular. I think it's the Hikari. It might be the Hikari, which goes from Tokyo and then south. I think the Hayabusa is the regular Shinkansen train from Tokyo going to Tohoku, so going north. So you'll probably use that regardless. But yeah. So as far as this ticket's concerned, let me see if I can see it over here. But basically, the way the rail passes work, you'll see this the shiny JR printed letters on here, so it's legit. And the back is also black, but basically you put this into the turnstile and stuff, and normally they would, what do you call this? It gets scanned. That's how it gets scanned and such. But yeah, if you have the train station name, that's what this is up here, and then the date, and then the time, and then the train, and then the train number. You also have your car seat over here. Car number, seat number. It's very specific to each person. And I have a couple of times sat in the wrong seat because I couldn't read the sign above the seats, because sometimes they look confusing. So don't do my mistake. And you can just like simply, if someone's in your seat, simply let them know. I think you're in my seat, to show them the ticket. It's like, and then double check. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And then just move. It's no biggie, but just remember, if you reserve a seat, it is your seat and no one else's. Did you see any train otaku near the Shinkansen? Plenty. So, I guess it really depends on the train areas, but there's like, before you actually ride the Shinkansen, there's normally not a Shinkansen. There's normally not a Shinkansen passing by on the rails, right? And people are just kind of waiting around for the trains to come by. And if a train does come by, they're either passing by or they slow down. And there is, in some places, or at least, or not some places, in most places, an area, like let's say there's an area. This is I think I'm gonna draw this out. Let me get a piece of paper. It'll be easier this way, because I'm really bad at explaining stuff. Okay. Set these aside for now. So here it is. So normally, whenever you're in on a Shinkansen platform, let's just say this is the platform over here, okay? And this is Shinkansen trains going one way, and this is Shinkansen trains going the other way. Now, of course, the platform doesn't go forever, and there are platforms that have like a railing section over here where there's like, where you can see the train coming or going, or in this case, like you can see the train leaving. So if you wanted to get like a picture of the backside of the train, you would probably be standing in this area with a camera, and the train zooms by, and then you can take a picture. Or if you want to see the train coming in, you would be in the other end of the platform, looking this way and then seeing it come through. However, there's always going to be like the platform attendants. There's going to be like platform attendants in every place, just to make sure people are safe. They're not like going over the rails and stuff like that. and get themselves hurt when the train comes in. So, and because I mean, it can happen. I don't think I've ever seen it happen, thankfully. But it does happen once in a while, where like luggage falls and bad stuff happens. You don't want to be on the rails. Just saying. Isekai by train, I don't think gets covered by the Isekai Foundation. So just FYI about that. Just FYI about that. Not that I encourage anyone to get isekai, but by train, I don't know if anyone's actually been isekai that way. And no, just okay. But yeah, train otaku happens all the time. All the time. There's always gonna be like one or two people that are really interested in, like, what do you call this? Take pictures and stuff. And even if though the train's parked, you can take pictures then too before you board the train. I think if it's like a beginning stop, you have a good maybe 10 to 15 minutes to board the train. But again, it's like if it's like an end stop, let's say Tokyo's the first station in a line of what do you call this? In a line of travels. I don't know what the proper term for that is, but anyway, normally there's going to be like the train would arrive, everyone gets off, and then there's a crew of people, normally old ladies for some reason, normally a crew of old ladies or just ladies in general, that go into the train, quickly go through each of the cars, pick up any trash, clean up a little bit, and then come back out before everyone else can get on. That's what they do. And I think you usually have about 10 minutes to do that. However, if they're just kind of passing through, if the Shinkansen is passing through, you have a little bit less than that. I think you have like roughly 3 to 5 minutes to get on the train. Otherwise, it'll just leave you behind. So just FYI, be there, be prompt, be ready to board, be ready to get off whenever that happens. See, I've seen enough horror stories involving trains by isekai by train, though. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Do you know there is an anime of Shinkansen as mechas? They got Hatsune Miku in it. I think I've seen a anime about trains, not necessarily the one with mechas though. I remember there was this one anime where it's like, again, high school students, because that's usually how it is, that are training to be like train conductors or something like that. And, they do stuff on there that's typically not done on, typically not conductor work that you would see usually. Even, I mean, they did have some really old trains also on that show, if I remember correctly. But other than that, no, I don't remember the mecha one. Let me get some water. Evangelion Shinkansen. I don't think I've seen the Evangelion Shinkansen. There's a few like special trains, not just Shinkansen, like throughout Japan. And it also depends on where you are. The one that I see a lot though, or at least the one I saw the most, was the ninja train. There's actually a ninja train in Kyoto Station. It's basically the ninja train, if I remember correctly, is basically a black Shinkansen train with a ninja on it, all black also, and like yellow or gold lettering and outlines throughout the train. It's basically black and yellow or black and gold. So that was interesting, but I don't know where it came from. So I don't know like where it departed from, where it goes to. The one train though, it wasn't a Shinkansen train specifically, but in Saga Prefecture, I think I took a picture of this. I'm gonna have to double check. But in Saga Prefecture, there is a train with Zombieland Saga on the side, and even like it doesn't have to be a Shinkansen. There's like a bunch of other like local trains with with different designs on them, or they could look normal, but it could just be like a local mascot or a local team or some anime. What do you call it? Some anime that was based on the town, like for Uji. Uji has Euphonium. If anyone's ever seen that or heard of that series, where there's a high school girl. Well, not necessarily high school girls, but high school girl. High school with a symphonic band, kind of thing. Yeah, in Kyoto, but not really Kyoto. It's like outside of Kyoto, Maine. It's like Uji is apparently what the town is called. Apparently known for their green tea. I didn't even know about that. So, did not know about that. Like, and whenever you go to one of these towns, well, it doesn't even have to be in the town itself, but a lot of times when you go to most towns anyway, most towns that have something that they want to show you, you can get like one of these tourist maps, normally by the train station or like by the ticket booth near the train stations. In the US, you normally see these like tourist pamphlets in the hotel rooms and such. I don't know that I've seen too many of those. Okay, never mind. There have been a few. There have been a few, especially in Tokyo that I remember. But oftentimes you can also like just at the train station you'll find like a map or something showing you all the different locations you can go in a particular place, like like a temple or some athletic center. I guess in this thing for some reason they have an athletic center all the way over here that they highlighted. I don't exactly know why. But there's a bunch of that, and they're not all in Japanese. This one's, I think, this side is in English. So if you're looking for English maps, you can have English maps. But sometimes some towns don't have that. Some towns don't have that, but most of the tourists, at least most of the places that do have tourist places, will in particular. But yeah. We do have the train passes. Like I said, you can reserve these up to 1 month ahead of time. So you can do it either the day you get there, the day before you leave. You can even do it the day you want to go to want to use the Shinkansen. However, it's a little bit, sometimes depending on the season, seats might get full really, really quickly. So you really, really don't want to do that. At the most, maybe reserve a seat the day before or a couple of days before. Because keep in mind, it's not just tourists using these trains; it's also local Japanese people. So they, depending on what's going on during that season, they'll be way, way prepared with this kind of stuff. And they, especially during summer, Golden Week, fall season even, they'll be very, very prepared as soon as they can be to reserve those seats, because they want to make sure they have a seat on that train to wherever they're going. So do the same thing. Do the same thing. Reserve early in your trip. Before you actually go to these places, before to like make sure you have a seat in them. It doesn't matter if you have the train pass or not. If you have a train pass, you don't have to pay anything to get all these reservations. But if you have the train pass, if you do not have the train pass, make sure you have the money. Make sure you have the money to pay for all these tickets. Luckily enough, I did not have a train pass. I did have a train pass, so I didn't have to pay anything for these because the train pass covered for them. But once the new prices for the Shinkansens, not the Shinkansens, the JR Rail Pass kick in October, like remember they're going more than double, sometimes double or more than double, when that time comes. So just keep that in mind. You may not be using a rail pass as much anymore at that time. You can still reserve and make sure you have the money to reserve them. Budgeting is going to be even what do you call this? More important for that. Now, sometimes you can get like regional passes or like just very short day passes, like this one over here. This is a special pass from Tokyo to Kawagoe. Kawagoe is a town pretty close to Tokyo. I don't remember exactly how far it goes, but this one specifically goes from Ikebukuro Station to Kawagoe Station or Kawagoe-ishi Station. Sometimes the train pass isn't really that much cheaper. Isn't really that much cheaper from just buying a ticket outright. But sometimes, you know, if you go back and forth on the same day, it might be a little bit cheaper. It's worth it. At the very least, even if though that it's not that much cheaper, you do get a nice little souvenir out of it, like this one. This is the ticket, by the way. This is the actual ticket. And the actual ticket is very nice. It looks like a lantern. You can kind of see this here, with some fancy foil lettering here in the middle, and you can just keep it, which is nice. There's also other day passes you can get. This one specifically, this one specifically in Kyoto, and you will be, if you go to Kyoto. I don't think most people use the trains in Kyoto, because the trains in Kyoto I don't think go everywhere in Kyoto. I think they go to a lot of places, but for the most part, people will be using the buses. And you can get this every day if you have to. But the thing is, just keep in mind, I think it's a fixed rate for any ride on those buses. So these train passes are only good for the day that you get them, so it's going to be spelled out here in the back. And I think so these are 500 yen, so I think you need at least 3 rides on the train on the bus for this to be worth it. If you do that, you kind of break even. If you do more than that, then you make out a lot, at least for the Kyoto buses. Keep that in mind. I also do think so there's this what do you call this? This electronic card, IC card called the Suica or Pasmo, whichever one you're familiar about hearing. I don't think those cards work in Kyoto. The last time I checked, they didn't, and it's unfortunate. So that's why most people take the buses over there. At least the ones that have, at least the ones that would like to use a Suica or a Pasmo but cannot. So buses only good for one day, but you still get to keep them. They're also pretty darn durable. Holy crap, look at this thing. This is how old by now? This is from 2015 and it is now 2023. 8 years old almost, these things, and they're still good as new. Almost as good as new. But yeah, I mean, also whenever you go to like attractions and stuff, you'll be getting these paper tickets. These are a lot less durable. This is pretty much, it's a miracle that this thing is still intact. But they're also souvenir worthy. So I keep a lot of receipts. I keep a lot of tickets that look pretty interesting. This is one of them. This is, I think, to Nijo Castle in Kyoto. So like one of the oldest castles in Kyoto or something like that. But the compound is pretty big. The insides of the castle, I think, is either renovated heavily or well preserved, one of the two. And sometimes, yeah, it just kind of looks nice. It just kind of looks nice. I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't sure what we were going to be doing, talking about in this trip. I just kind of want to like reminisce a little bit. You know, if you guys have any particular Japan travel questions, this is also a good time to ask me. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I just really want to go back. That's what it is. I just really want to go back, and I went through. I remember that I had like this stash of all the old pamphlets and maps and tickets, and I just kind of wanted to like, you know, talk about the random stuff that you can find. Well, I mean, the tickets are, I think, it's fairly this is fairly self-explanatory. The map bit does have some pretty useful information in it, especially on like how to get to certain places, where certain things are, mostly a bunch of tourist stuff, but honestly, I mean, if you have no idea where to go and didn't do a whole lot of research, you can always pick up a map. You can always pick up a map by the train station, or depending on where you're going to, you can also pick one up from the Shinkansen ticket station to like get some ideas and such. And these will, I mean, some of the ones at least on the Shinkansen ticket booth will change, I think, depending on the season, I want to say. And it's not just for foreign tourists; those are also for local tourists too. So I mean, some people don't know where they can go, and it's a good idea to just take a look see, and they also give you like information about certain landmarks, like the temples and I guess certain historical sites. Also, the deer. This one is specifically in Nara. So we have information about the deer. Why are there so many deer in Nara Park? Why? Feed the deer some deer crackers. You can do that. There's a lot of neat little tidbits here and there, and some useful travel information and such like that. It's really nice though. I don't think I usually see this in most places, at least not here in the US. Even in tourist areas, I don't see these kind of this level of pamphleting. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat to just collect them, even if you don't use them. It's just kind of neat to collect them. Have you tried Japan's? I can't read that. What does it say? I can't read it. Bathhouses. Not the actual bathhouses. Like you mean the sentos? No, not specifically the sentos that I might be able to this trip, because this trip I have a lot of bath onsen related stuff on the schedule for some reason. Like 6 separate days on my schedule this trip. I have like onsen related stuff, and I don't exactly know how it got there. I wasn't planning for this to be an onsen trip specifically, but yeah, this trip is gonna be like a good 6 days worth of onsen stuff, whether it's sento or ryokan actually onsen, that kind of thing. So we'll see where I get up to. I probably won't be able to get much footage from there though, just because, you know, people naked. I probably don't appreciate getting photographed or videotaped while in the baths. I would not want to be. I would not want to be. So it's gonna be very limited as far as what I can show you there, if I do somehow get a camera through. But yeah, don't let anyone know. Don't let anyone know. Fun fact, Shika is deer in Japanese, and there's a character named Shikamaru Nara in Naruto. Wow. That's so on the nose. So on the nose. By the way, Nara's not the only place where we can find deer. Let me see if I can actually find it. Let's see. It might be here. Nope, this is Issei. That's a different one. I am trying to look for... Oh, is it going to be on this one? If it's not there... It might... No, Mitake is something different. Let me see. Is this in the Hiroshima travel guide? I mean, specifically Sento, not really. But if we're talking like neighborhood Sentos, not really. But I have used... There are some hotels, like actual hotels, business hotels even, that have Sentos in their facilities. Like some capsule hotels will have like a public bath inside the place. So I've used that quite a bit. But I don't think I've used one in a neighborhood. That's a little different. And also, I wouldn't even know where to start, and I didn't even think about doing that. But let's see. So this is Hiroshima. This is Hiroshima. Hiroshima, apparently, other than the Hiroshima style okonomiyaki, they're also known for their oysters, which I've had a few oysters in, at least in Miyajima, which is next to Hiroshima, and which is where most of the oysters I think come from over there. And they were pretty plump. They were pretty plump. They like to cook them for some reason. I like them raw. I don't know how you feel about your oysters, but I like my oysters raw. Raw, dipped in vinegar, and just eaten like that. Fried oysters, cooked oysters, grilled oysters, I'm not usually a fan of. I don't know. That might just be me. They might not actually show the deer here, because it's, I mean, that's a Nara thing as far as I'm concerned, but there are deer outside of Nara, and there's definitely maybe not as many deer in Nara as there is in Miyajima, but if you're in Miyajima, so the terminal is all the way over here, right? And there's this area over here in this corner. There's this area over here, this corner near the coast, that has a bunch of, what do you call this? Like trees and like park style setting. The deer will be over here. Unlike Nara, I don't think there's any deer crackers to feed them. And there's a lot of signs around everywhere, around Miyajima in particular, that say do not feed the deer. You're not supposed to feed the deer at all. Unlike in Nara, where they do encourage you to feed the deer, but you have to feed them deer crackers. And the deer crackers, I think, is like 100 yen per 5 or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done that last. But yeah, but the deer are, I wouldn't say they're aggressive, but if the deer can find something to bite on, they will bite on it. So if you're just kind of like looking at your pamphlet, you're looking at your maps and stuff, and they see that they can bite it, they will bite it. They have done that. They have done that, and you either fight with the deer for the map, or you just let it go. And people will look at you as if you've done something wrong. It's like, it's not my fault. The deer ate it, okay? The deer ate it. I didn't do anything. By the way, I did not actually do that. The deer never stole anything from me, but I did I try to pet a deer? I don't remember if I tried to pet a deer. You're probably not supposed to pet the deer because the deer might have ticks and stuff. So just FYI. Just FYI. But for the most part, the deer are pretty chill, other than, them being kind of bitey a lot of times. But yeah, some of the pamphlets are going to be a little bit more, what do you call this? A little bit more thorough than others, like especially in Hiroshima, you do have the, what do you call this? You have the atomic bomb dome, where there's like an old building that survived the atomic bombing, and it's heavily protected, and also museum, peace park memorials and stuff like that, and other tourist areas they can go to, with a lot of information about just random little bits and stuff. I do appreciate my favorite part of these pamphlets, though, is not the tourist stuff in particular, but like the restaurants and food that they recommend. Restaurants and food that they recommend you go to in town. That is my favorite part. That is my favorite part out of all of this stuff. Like in Hiroshima, there's a place where you can like get Hiroshima style okonomiyaki, which is a little bit different, which is quite a bit different actually than Osaka style okonomiyaki. But may have talked about this before, and I have cooked it. I have cooked both on stream before. Maybe we'll do another one at some point. But basically, Osaka style okonomiyaki, which is the one that most people are familiar with. Everything's just kind of mixed batter, ingredients and all that stuff mixed together in a bowl, and then you just cook the batter that way. But Hiroshima style is a little bit different. Everything is in layers. Most layers are cooked separately. and you can kind of see the cook in front of you, because usually it's like a teppan style cooking. Most of the time it's a teppan style cooking, at least for the particular place that they're in. There's like actually a building for okonomiyaki restaurants, and there's a bunch of different stalls that serve more or less the same thing, and there's some of them, like, I guess, have like different specialties, but it's really interesting to just watch, though. It's really interesting to just watch because there's not a whole lot of batter that goes into the Hiroshima style okonomiyaki. It's kind of like a little bit of crepe batter, some eggs, some noodles, all the toppings, a lot of cabbage, and a lot of sauce, and it gets all layered on top of each other, and then it just gets served to you, and it's all good. It's kind of hard to find a bad okonomiyaki spot, but there's definitely spots where locals want to go to, and there's less popular spots where most locals don't go to, I guess, question mark. But definitely try okonomiyaki in Hiroshima whenever you do that. I do appreciate these foods, like food recommendations, if you have no idea where to go. But then again, remember, this is a pamphlet for tourists, so you're not gonna get like some of the hidden gem spots, which you have to either have to talk to the reception either at your hotel, or if you do an Airbnb, ask the host where they recommend going, or if you are at a hostel, ask that reception also. Recommendations from everywhere. Get a local's recommendation. It's probably one of the best things you can do. I would not have found a grilled pork place if it wasn't for that. So yeah. Let's see. I asked my friend to buy cup noodles when he was in Tokyo back then, but he had a hard time finding some in 7-Eleven for some reason. Where would you recommend me to go for hoarding instant noodles? 7-Eleven does have some, I guess, specialty instant ramen. Like, I think there's a couple of Michelin star ramen in Tokyo that do have bowls in like 7-Eleven or Lawson. So if you're looking just at convenience stores, the main ones to look for are 7-Eleven, Lawson, and FamilyMart. However, if you can't find the specific ones that you want from those, the other option would be to go to a grocery store. And I can't tell you which grocery store to look for because it's kind of different in each area. It's kind of different in each area. There's some neighborhood grocery stores that are bigger than others. There's some that are smaller than others, so it's kind of like up in the air. If you go, especially in Tokyo, it's kind of hard to find a decently sized local grocery store unless you probably live further off or stay further off in the suburbs, or another way is to like go to actually a suburban ward of Tokyo or something, like maybe Edogawa, something like that, where not a whole lot of tourists go to. There's not a whole lot of tourist places, I guess. Some place like Edogawa might have like a decently sized grocery store that you can check out and get stuff from. Maybe kind of far from most people, and you wouldn't even know where to look for. But I mean, Google Maps there. Google Maps will help you find a grocery store. You just gotta find a big enough one. So grocery stores are a really good place to find one. However, if you want another place where you can find a lot of stuff, Don Quixote. Don Quixote is everywhere. Well, in most places, it's in most places. In Tokyo, the main Don Quixote you're gonna probably find is the Mega Don Quixote in Shibuya. That's where a lot of people go to, and it has a pretty decent amount of stuff. I don't know if their selection is that different from one Don Quixote to another. I will say though, and I've gone to a few different ones, but I didn't take a really close look at, like, say, the ramen or snack selection. But for the most part, if you want to make sure you have a decent selection, Mega Donkey in Shibuya is one. I think there's another one in Yokohama. The Yokohama Don Quixote is actually kind of interesting because I mean, most Don Quixotes do have like a grocery section at the bottom, but I think the one in Yokohama, if I remember correctly, that's in Yokohama to begin with, has a bigger grocery section at the bottom floor. So you might be able to find something there if we're just talking about Tokyo, Yokohama area. Or I could be mistaking that for a different grocery store when I went to Fukuoka. There's another grocery store in Fukuoka that I went to get some food for like a week. Like so I can just cook actually. So I can just cook in the apartment that I was renting at the time. So that's another option. But yeah, grocery stores and Don Quixote are two other options because I don't know how much stuff you can actually find in a convenience store. I want to say convenience store, but it sounded a little weird in my head. So I'm not sure how much you can find in a convenience store. Your best bet's probably going to be a grocery store or at least a Don Quixote. That's for ramen in general. But if you want like special stuff, yeah, maybe some convenience stores, specifically 7-Eleven and Lawson might have some. I don't know about FamiMart. FamiMart, I feel like FamiMart is like mostly known for their deli section, kind of like everyone else, to be honest. But not necessarily their ramen section. But I mean, there's Lawson and 7-Eleven. Good places in general. Just check out stuff that you want to get. I will say though, if you want to get any souvenirs, do not go into the fancy department stores. Like the fancy department stores where you have the section somewhere, maybe like in the middle or bottom floors, where there's a bunch of booths with really fancy food or really fancy deli food, because those tend to be kind of expensive. Not gonna lie, those are kind of expensive unless you go to them near closing time, and really you only kind of want to do that if you're like, don't really feel like going out to a restaurant at that time and you need something cheap. Near closing time, they're probably going to be discounting stuff heavily up to like 50% or something like that. One time I was in a grocery store. Was it in Ikebukuro? No, it was a Ueno. It's not really a grocery store, but it was kind of also like a grocery store, but it was like so small, the size of like a size of konbini, that it's hard to call it a grocery store, but I guess it was technically a small grocery store, but it's the size of konbini. I was in one of those places near closing time, and I saw the stickers come out. I think they got discounted something like 100 yen, 200 yen, 500 yen, not necessarily percentages, but like some fixed number of yen. And I guess if they still stay on the shelf for a decent amount of time, the discount stickers will keep on piling up until they either sell them or they don't. It really depends. But if you really want to get like the best deals on at least bento or deli stuff, find out when the shops close. Find out when the shops close. They will heavily discount those. But for souvenirs, they won't discount those. Sorry, that's just not gonna happen. Has anyone here seen that anime called Bento, or at least know about the series called Bento? I don't think I've seen anyone do throwdowns like that. I mean, it's anime, but still. It'd be funny if it happened, though. It'd be funny if it happened. Maybe not in that particular area, but it would have been funny if it happened. I would have wanted to see it. Though I will say, I think the ladies in particular, once the discount stickers do start coming up, they get a little bit more aggressive. They get a little bit more aggressive trying to get those discounted items. Not that I've noticed, but I've heard the stories. I've heard the stories. Beer garden. They do also tell you prices for these places. It's a little hard to see here. They also do tell you the prices of certain places. For some reason, some places will say men is more expensive than women, but then again, there's a beer garden, so maybe there's some like happy hour things. Kind of like, you know, in some bars in the U.S., they have like a ladies' night where women have like get drinks for free and the guys have to pay and stuff like that. Maybe it's that kind of thing. Maybe it's that kind of thing. But they do have like a bunch of information, some recommendations, but always check your local receptionist or check the locals for recommendations. Always a good thing to do. Always a good thing to do. I don't know. I just kind of like looking through these pamphlets. Some of these pamphlets are not really that interesting, like this one for a temple that I went to. There's like some history, stories about their artifacts that they have and such. But it's like they don't mean much anything to me, but the pamphlet looks nice. The pamphlet looks nice. I will say some of the rules are a little weird. No smoking, understood. No food or drink, understood. No sketching? What's that about? Why no sketching? Why can I not draw the stuff? Commercial use of photographs taken on building premises is prohibited. It's not commercial use. It's not commercial use. I'm just showing you the pamphlet. Photography is prohibited in certain rooms and such like that. Which, you know, granted, some people don't read the do not take pictures sign a lot. So be wary of that. And if you do that. Yeah, try not to share them in public or something like that. Or share them discreetly, I guess. Graffiti concerns, I guess. I don't think I've really seen too much graffiti in Japan. There are places that do have graffiti, but I don't remember exactly where. You would think Tokyo has a lot of them, and I'm sure there are places in Tokyo that has a lot. Maybe mainly in Shinjuku or something like that, but in general, I don't really see it. If they do, they really do that kind of stuff in the middle of the night. Where did I get this one? Takeha Land. This was a random pamphlet I just picked up. But there's obviously, there's this girl over here. This girl in blue that is, I guess they're model for this thing. Or maybe she's some sort of famous person. They have these random famous people in Japan I have no idea about. She just kind of goes around, samples food and drinks from certain places. Yep, here she is. Here she is over there. I don't even know what town this is in. I just got a random pamphlet for somewhere. I have no idea where this is. At least it doesn't look familiar to me, but I remember this pamphlet being like interesting just looking at it, and it's like, okay. Let's grab it because the paper feels nice. This is paper. Oh! I see. I think I know what this one was. Rabbit Island. Rabbit Island. There's an island near. Not really near, but close enough to Hiroshima. Maybe like an hour to 90 minutes away plus ferry. Where they used to have an old poison plant. Let me zoom that in a little bit. It's like an old poison plant during the war, and it's like the ruins of the poison plant and such like that. But before you actually get to that place, there's a town. Forget which town this one is specifically because I can't read anything here because it's all in Japanese. Well-preserved traditional historic district. That's what the manhole cover here says, but it doesn't really say anything else. Not that I can read. And I forgot what anime this is from. Is this Lucky Star or something? I want to say this is from Lucky Star. Because it looks very familiar. And it's here. For some reason that's there. But yeah, I think the town where you take the ferry from, they have like a little information there. And then, of course, the rabbit island where the rabbits will swarm you. You probably have seen many videos about that. I have also been swarmed by these rabbits looking for food. Not enough to where I'm gonna like down on the ground and they could just kind of like stampede me, but but they have run up to my run up to my feet and like even clawed their way on my pant legs, trying to get food from me, and that by that time I was out of food. So I don't know if I actually posted that on the vlog channel though, but if I posted it on the vlog channel, you'll probably see it. That might have been a private video because I didn't edit it enough. I did not edit that enough, but the Rabbit Island was pretty neat. It's pretty neat. They do have a restaurant in the hotel on the Rabbit Island. Apparently some people go there for like a beach outing, which is kind of weird. But there were some people on the beach on that island the time I went over there, and actual hotel rooms and such, and a small gift shop, a small restaurant, which I guess the food was okay. It wasn't that great. It was okay because it's kind of like all the way out there. You'll also probably see in some of these pamphlets like some activities that you can do. Like I think this one's like a basket weaving thing up here. So basket weaving, I guess some cooking classes, ceramics decorating. I don't know why you would want to do this one in particular, but there's kind of like a Buddhist Zen program thing that you can do for a day. I've never done that before. I don't think I've done a tea ceremony thing, but the tea ceremony was kind of like not really part of the place I was staying at the time. It was like an extra thing that we had to pay for. But I did it. I did it, and it was interesting. It was interesting. It's not like a very formal tea ceremony. It's definitely more like an informal tea ceremony, but a tea ceremony nonetheless. But yeah, lots of random neat stuff that you can find here. Just gotta look for those pamphlets wherever you can find them. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's most of the same thing still. Maps, locations, recommendations, food recommendations, lots of restaurants that wanted to participate in this pamphlet. Not all of them will be here, but most of the ones will be here. Some of the souvenirs that you can get. Just keep an eye out on this. I guess one recommendation I have though, specifically if you once you like find yourself in Japan and travel around, have a file folder of some sort. Have a file folder where you can keep all this stuff so they don't get wrinkled up in your backpack and luggage and stuff like that. Oh, this was an interesting one. Hibike Uniphonium from Uji. I guess this one specifically, though, advertisement for the Keihan line. Keihan line, which I think is the main... Well, it's just the private, I think. Private train line in Osaka to Kyoto. So, Kansai. I think it's a Kansai train line. And some of these things will show you, like... scenes from anime and tell you where in town you can find them, because some people do that anime pilgrimage and take shots of those places in that same angle and stuff. I kind of did one when I went to Saga, but I didn't. It's not like I went to do it specifically. It just kind of sort of happened. But it's nice they also have these for the people who actually like certain shows and stuff. And you know, because a lot of shows in like slice of life stuff, mostly I guess in light novels, will be based in real towns and stuff like that. Like if you've ever seen Flying Witch, what was the town in Flying Witch? I think it was all the way up in Tohoku. I remember that much. What was it? Hiro? No. I want to say like what was that? All I know is it was like all the way up in Tohoku, somewhat close to Aomori, but not quite Aomori. They do have the same sort of Nebuta Aomori festival, Nebuta festival like that Aomori does. It's not quite as big, but it's still pretty prominent and stuff like that. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, what was this one? Oh, this is a big one. What is this? Why do I have this one? I think this is like a random one I picked up. Oh, Shimakita. Oh. This is a really, really random one I picked up, I think, when I was all the way up in the northern parts of Japan. But this is like, I think I was going up there for the Nebuta festival in Aomori, but never actually went to Aomori at that time because it was so far, and by the time I would have gotten back, it would be like near midnight. So it's like, okay, well, plan B. What else can we do in this place? Because I was like 4 hours or something away from Aomori, and round trip would be 8 hours, and I really can't do that in one day. And there was no place I could stay in Aomori itself because it was like their festival season, and I didn't realize it at the time. So a lot of people reserved those hotel rooms way ahead of time, so there was no reservations in Aomori itself during that time. It's very competitive. It's very competitive. You gotta be on top of those local domestic tourism seasons and such, and make sure you reserve things way ahead of time, maybe even 6 months or so ahead of time, just to make sure you have a place if you're gonna be in an area that's where a lot of domestic tourists are going to be. Because I can tell you, most domestic tourists know where to go for certain seasons. But foreign tourists, there's going to be only a few that are going to be going to those same places domestic tourists will go to. It's kind of crazy. Honestly, it's kind of crazy, the competition for those places. But it's also kind of interesting because I don't think domestic tourism in the US is that strong. At least it doesn't feel like it, unless you're talking about Disney World, Universal Studios, the theme parks, and all that stuff, but not necessarily most other places like, I don't know, New York City. I don't think there's a season for New York City. I don't think there's a season for Chicago or Seattle, or I guess ski season in Colorado might have a lot of people go there, but I feel like it's like only certain localized places. But again, I guess that's mostly anywhere. Anyway, I just don't feel like the local tourism is as strong in the U.S. as it is in Japan. That's just my feeling. Because at least in Japan, you have the trains to take you around a bunch of different places, and you don't really have to drive. Though if you do drive, there are the rest stops that you can go to. I haven't had that experience yet, going to a rest stop in Japan. But I will be driving for the first time coming this trip, but it won't be on a highway. It's going to be more like in a local area because buses are not that frequent. So yeah, that's going to be a little bit different. That's going to be fun. I feel like it's going to be fun. Anyway, sick. I just realized this. Wow. Is my clap not in sync with the sound on screen? It probably isn't. It probably isn't. There's like a half a second delay from my actions to the screen. I did not realize that. I don't know if I can fix that. I think it is what it is. I might have to like get something else to fix that, but whoops. The disconnect is real. Anyway, how long have we been talking? An hour? An hour's fine for Japan stuff, I feel like. If you guys have any other questions for me or things that you want me to cover, let me know either in the comments or like in chat. because I just want to like talk about random stuff. But now at this point, anything I want to talk about as far as recommendations, I feel like it's going to be mostly video stuff. I gotta get the motivation to actually do said video stuff. So I still might do streams on specific Japan things if I can't bring myself to do videos. I think that's what it's going to be. I feel like that's what it's going to be. But yeah, let me know if there's anything you want me to cover in the future, specific topics and whatnot. I know there's like a bunch of travel tips and videos out there from different channels, but you know, a different perspective is always nice, and I will give you the perspective I have if it's something I can, if it's something that I can talk about, or at least, you know, something I have experience in. And I feel like I can talk to a lot about a bunch of stuff. It's just, you know, what do I talk about? There's just so many things. There's so many things. And I was already having trouble figuring out what to talk about for this one. But yeah, I guess we kind of talked about the trains and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'll try to come up with something for next month. Well, next month's already tomorrow. So next month will be probably end of next month. Or at least, you know, if you're in Asia. If you're in Asia, tomorrow is today, or whatever that case might be. What I mean by that is, yeah, it's August already. Can you believe it? We're at the end of July. We're at the end of July, at least here in the US, we're at the end of July, and everyone else is in August. This year has gone way too fast. On one hand, this year has gone way too fast. On the other hand, I am just ready to go on my trip in the next few months. It's been a while. It's been 2019, 2000. So last time I went was 2019. So, and then 2020, 2021, 2022, and now we're in 2023. It's a good 4 years since I last went. It's a good 3 to 4 years since a lot of people went to Japan. I don't know how busy it is these days compared to what it was in 2019. Probably not as crazy as it used to be, but still probably pretty busy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when I actually get there. I do know Tokyo and Kyoto are going to be extremely busy. That's just, I feel like, normal for them for whatever reason. That's going to be normal for them. But yeah, if you don't want to go into like super busy areas, definitely avoid the weekends. When I say weekends, I mean Saturday, Sunday specifically. Maybe even Friday, like high tourist areas. Saturday, Sunday are probably the worst because you're not just competing with the other tourists, but you're also competing with locals. And I kind of do feel sorry for locals, especially in those tourist areas, because they have to deal with all the other tourists. They have to deal with all the other tourists in their town. And it's like, oh my gosh, how do we deal with all of them? How do we deal with all of them? Also, it's not just, and it's also like a bunch of people from different places in the world, right? So some of them are better than others, and just being respectful in the place that you're visiting is tough for certain people. So I just wish, you know, just be cool, just be respectful, and everyone will be good. People won't have to complain about tourists in general if it weren't for that. So anyway, that's all I really got for today. I just wanted to show some tickets, some maps, some pamphlets. Sometimes you'll get maps in really interesting shapes, like this one over here. This is a map of Arashiyama, which is like one of the places near Kyoto, and this is I guess advertisement for the monkey park in Arashiyama. But it's also like a fan. You can use it as a fan. You see this hole? See this hole over here? That's where you put your finger, on your fingers anyway, and just kind of fan yourself, which is really, really nice, especially in the heat of summer. Does it work though? Does it work though? I guess a little bit. It works kind of a little bit. It's better than nothing, that's for sure. You can also always get like a little battery-powered fan and like a little spray mister to cool yourself off. But my personal suggestion, maybe don't go to Japan during the summer if you're worried about heat. Just saying, it is hot in Japan during the summer, but that's also mostly humidity. If you go to Japan in the summer though, if you go to Japan in the summer, Tohoku is really nice. Hokkaido is really nice. Northern prefectures in general are going to be really nice during the summer because it's a lot cooler there. I think it was like around 60-ish when I went to... Where was it? When I went to Morioka. Was it Morioka? It wasn't Morioka. I think it was Hachinohe. Hachinohe, which is like a hub going even further north in Tohoku. But anyway, it was around 65 degrees Fahrenheit or something. I don't know what that is in Celsius off the top of my head. But it was pretty cool. And compared to Tokyo, which was like 90 degrees Fahrenheit and humid and concrete everywhere, and northern Tohoku is like countryside, higher elevation, much cooler. That was really nice. So I'm also going to be guessing Hokkaido is going to be also really nice during the summer. Not as harsh as heat, and lots of places to go. If you go to Hokkaido though, you can make a trip just out of Hokkaido driving around. I think in Hokkaido it's kind of recommended to drive around the entire prefecture if you want to go to other places that's just not Sapporo or Otaru or Hakodate. One of those places. So yeah, summer. Though I think the only perk in summer that I can think of, if you call it a perk, is that you have to, well, you kind of have to go, not have to, but it's hiking season for Mount Fuji, I think between July and September. I don't know if that's changed, but that's what I remember it being. Like, it's the hiking season between July and September for Mount Fuji, because I think that's when the conditions to climate are fairly favorable. Fairly favorable. A lot of people do it during that time, so you're going to be running into a lot of people. It's going to not feel like much of a hike compared to your usual hikes, but you know, it is what it is. And if you want to climb Fuji, that's probably the best time. Otherwise, if you go off season, conditions up there are going to be much colder and much icier. Some people say you do need like specialized hiking gear if you do it off season, but there were a few videos that have done it off season and they seem to be okay as long as you're not going to be staying there overnight. If you just go up there and back down, they seem to be okay. They seem to be okay, but just keep in mind. Mount Fuji, summer. Hiking season open. That's it. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Japan stuff, and I'll see if I can come up with anything before the end of the month. If not, maybe we'll be doing video. Unless you have something like specific you want me to talk about, let me know again. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat if you have anything in chat right now that you want me to talk about. But comments, chat, let me know, and I'll try to come up with something for next time. Otherwise, we'll just do like a quick run through of things and stuff like that. All right. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I will see you all next time, whenever that might be. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. See ya.